Welcome into Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. I'm Meghan Payton. Well, Seahawks are 3-8, so what does that mean? It of course means that the Russell Wilson trade rumors are coming up again. This is Russell Wilson's worst record in his time with Seattle. The last record that was even close to as bad with it as this was 9-7. He's definitely never been 3-8 before, and he's never had a losing season. ESPN's Dan Graziano thinks it could be his last year and trade talks could resurface. I mean, I think the main question is if he was unhappy then, meaning last year, what is he feeling now? And I do think major change will happen in Seattle. I think that's pretty evident, whether that be coaching staff changes or whether that be Russell Wilson changes. One of the two, in my opinion, probably are going to happen. And right now, I could see Russ leaving. I'm not saying that it's 100% going to happen, but just based on history and knowing what we know about Russell Wilson and how he was feeling. I know he denied some of it, during the beginning of the season, but he was very close to requesting a trade. Now, Graziano talked about this a bit, and he said his agent gave a list of teams that he would accept a trade to. By the way, this was back in February during the offseason when he gave this list. Some of those teams still do need a quarterback. They're 3-8. This is not something that has happened in Russell Wilson's career. This kind of losing. He was already dissatisfied on some level. They managed to put it behind them, but it's going to come up again. And Graziano says that a team that they should watch out for is the Saints, saying that, obviously they are in need of a franchise quarterback after Drew Brees left. They thought Jameis Winston was going to be the guy. He gets hurt. They've been going with Trevor Siemian. Maybe Taysom Hill is playing this week. We're not sure. But ultimately, it leads to the question for Seahawks fans of, could Russell actually leave and request a trade? I think it's a little bit more realistic this season than probably last season. He was involved with the hiring of Shane Waldron. That offensive line hasn't really improved much, so it's not out of the question. I am going to ask you guys this. This is our pinned comment for today's video. So let's talk Russell Wilson. Is he going to get traded? If you think he is, type Y for yes or type N for no. All right, now I am saying yes. And I'm saying that right now. That's why I put this in the lower third. I don't know if my opinion is going to change as the season goes on and obviously as we get more news about this situation. But yeah, he's 3-8. You think Russell Wilson's happy? You think you guys are upset right now? I said this during our recap video. Russell Wilson is more upset than you can imagine. He is not used to losing, and he's really not used to playing the way that he's playing. And he has been struggling ever since he came back from his finger injury. He hasn't looked the same. 2021 hasn't been Russell Wilson's best year, that's for sure. During 8 games, he's had 1,800 yards, a 46.2 QBR, 12 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and a 64.9 completion percentage. So I do think that this isn't out of the question. We're not throwing out some crazy rumor about Russell Wilson without anything to back it up. I think that Graziano is kind of on the right track here. What makes you think Russell Wilson's going to stay? If he was so close to a trade last year, how could this not be a problem this year? And I think that there's a few teams, obviously a lot of teams that would be interested, because I know, and we all know, Russell Wilson's going to get back to being the dominant player that he is. So a lot of people are upset with him right now, but he's going to get back to winning. He's mentally maybe not in it as much, just having missed a month. Physically, he might not be all the way back, but teams are going to be interested and teams are going to be pushing hard for Russ, whether that be, I know the 4 teams that he mentioned back in the offseason last year were Cowboys, Raiders, Bears, Saints. A lot of those teams still need a quarterback. Russell Wilson could be a perfect fit for some of those teams. And now we're seeing rumors about other teams that weren't even on that list. So I do think that this will be a topic that we talk about a lot as the season goes on and as we approach the playoffs and off season. So if you guys want to be in the know with Russell Wilson trade rumors, make sure you are subscribed to Seahawks Today. You can press that big red button or go to youtube.com/Seahawks TV. But I promise we'll keep you updated on more than just Russell Wilson trade rumors. We still got game recaps going on. We're going to talk draft. There's a lot to look forward to with this 2022 season because unfortunately the remainder of this 2021 season is not looking great for Seattle as they sit 3-8. Their schedule is going to be tough, and I don't think that the playoff chances are really going to be much of a topic. And I think that going back to Russell Wilson, he has to take some of this blame because, as we said, he's struggling. He is not back to the Russell Wilson we all know and love. And I think that, yes, we can blame that partly on the physical, like applicant comes with, coming back from a finger injury, but also the mental issue that comes back with missing a month. So I'm going to say that these next few games for the Seahawks, these next 6 games actually, are going to be important for Russell Wilson to show that he's still the dominant quarterback that he is. Because if he's going to want to get traded, teams are going to want to see the old Russell Wilson. So they are taking on the Niners this week. Then they head to Houston to take on the Texans. Then they go to the Rams. That's going to be a very difficult game. Week 16, the Bears, that could be interesting. That was one of the 4 teams that his agent had mentioned offseason. Maybe he's going to want to impress some people there if Matt Nagy is still around after the season. Then they go on to take on the winless Lions. Hopefully they can get a win there. Then they end with a very competitive divisional game against the Cardinals. So this is going to be tough. Playoff picture probably out of the question for Seattle. We talked about that. We're living in reality here at Chat Sports. But I do want to ask you guys, what do you think the Seahawks record is going to be by the end of the season? Predict it right now in the comments. Get your thoughts in. I'll let you know what I think as the video goes on. I don't think it's looking great for Seattle. And I think this leads the question of, how did we get here? This isn't a team that loses. This isn't a team that misses the playoffs. I think this is very odd, and it's interesting to take a peek at what happened. I'm actually going to say that the tables have turned a little bit. And hear me out, because I'm about to make a point that some of you might disagree with. The offense was always the strong suit for Seattle, right? Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, they had a good offense. The offensive line struggled. Obviously, they brought in Shane Waldron to help out those things. And the defense was always the biggest problem for Seattle. Now, I am not in any way saying that the Seahawks defense is a top 10 defense or really even a top 20 defense. But I am going to throw out this take saying that they have improved a lot this year. They've improved a lot in these last few weeks. I mean, if we look at the last 3 games, I'm not saying this is perfect, but I'm saying that 19 out of 41 third down conversions allowed, that's better than what we're used to seeing from the Seahawks defense. They're allowing 274.7 yards per game. Passing yards to be specific, and then they're allowing 117.7 rushing yards per game. 2 interceptions in the last 3 games, better than what we've seen. Now, PFF ranked the Seahawks defense 27th in the NFL, so no, it's not good. And so what I'm saying here is it's interesting to look at what's happened since Russell Wilson's gotten back, and I'd say, hey, this defense did enough to allow the Seahawks to win. Unfortunately, this offense is just not performing like the offense we know in Seattle. They're 13 out of 37 in the last 3 games on third down conversions. They've only had 182 yards per game passing. They've only had 65 rushing yards per game. 3 turnovers, a lot of issues. And it's not just Russell Wilson. It's the run game. It's the offensive line. It's receivers maybe not getting to their routes in time. There's a lot of issues going on with this offense and maybe even some play calling from Shane Waldron. So this is where, obviously, when you're sitting 3-8, you've got to blame someone. So it's time for us to put the blame on maybe one person, two people, or a whole group. So I'm asking you guys, who do you blame? Do you blame the offense? If so, type O for offense. Are we blaming the defense? Type D for defense. Coaching, maybe? Type C for coaching. Or if you're saying it's all of them, which in reality, it's probably all of them to some degree. You can type A for all of the above. I'm going A for all of the above. But I am going to pause on the negative Seahawks season talk and tell you guys about what you can get and rep the Seahawks and be proud of your Seattle Seahawks team that you still have to be fans, guys. If you go to chatsports.com/Seahawks hats, you can get up to 50% off on these great beanies. You've got hats. You've got a ton of different options. It's getting cold in Seattle, so take advantage of this deal. Rep your Seahawks. Like I said, we've got women's, we've got men's. They even have this long sleeve shirt / beanie combo. I think it's going for like $25. Now is the time. Take advantage of this deal. They're keeping it going through Cyber Week, they're calling it. So make sure you go to chatsports.com/Seahawks hats. Get your holiday gifts now before the prices change. All right, some more Seahawks news to discuss. Ian Rappaport said With Mike Garofalo on NFL Now, future Hall of Fame running back Adrian Peterson is visiting the Seahawks today. Most recently of the Titans, Peterson could be back in the NFL in Seattle this time. So very interesting. Adrian Peterson, a guy that we obviously know and who has been a dominant running back in this league, not much lately. He's visiting with Seattle today, which is Wednesday. If you're watching this on a different day, he's a future Hall of Famer. That's no doubt. He's most recently with the Titans earlier this season. He only played 3 games before he was released. I do think that this could be a good depth option for the Seahawks, given the injuries that they've had at the running back position. Chris Carson, who we know is not coming back this season. Alex Collins just not getting as much as we're not getting as much as we'd like out of him. That's just the reality. Rashad Penny, who is constantly kind of hurt, also not playing right now. So Adrian Peterson would maybe be a fun spark to this offense. It could at least be an interesting way for the Seahawks to go about the last 6 games of the season. What are your thoughts, though? Should the Seahawks sign Adrian Peterson? Type S for sign or type P for pass? I'm saying at this point, why not? I think Adrian Peterson's a fun guy. He could bring some leadership to this team. I think that he could help maybe encourage some of the younger guys, talk them through this. He's been in the league for a long time. He's dealt with losing season. So I think that a guy like AP could maybe at least help the mentality of the Seahawks team, because right now it's not there. And like we said, Alex Collins struggling a bit. He's the running back 1. He was supposed to be running back 2 before Chris Carson went out. Rashad Penny still dealing with injuries. Travis Homer, we've seen a little bit more of him. DJ Dallas. These are all kind of number 3, number 4 guys. So an Adrian Peterson type, hey, maybe he takes on at least a number 2 role. That could be kind of fun to see. Now, he didn't do much in 2021. As we said, he was only on the team for 3 games, but in 2020, he had 156 carries, 604 yards, an average of 3.9 and 7 touchdowns. Now, Adrian Peterson has had better seasons than this. Obviously, he's getting a little bit older. He's definitely way out of his prime. He's jumped around a lot these past few years, predominantly with the Vikings. We know that, but then went Saints, Washington, Titans. He's all over the place. Maybe Seattle is the next home for him. Now, a couple other things that the Seahawks have done. Little roster moves, not much to talk about, but practice squad. We have heard that wide receiver Philip Dorsett, he was waived from the practice squad along with running back BJ Emmons. He was released. So just little things here and there happening in Seattle right now. I think most people are just thinking about this season, which is upsetting. And of course, guys, here at Seahawks Today, we're going to keep you updated on everything. We're getting ready for this 49ers game coming up on Sunday. Make sure you stay tuned for an overreaction video on Monday.